It all happened so fast, I can't recall. Policemen everywhere, nowhere to run. It took a while, but I came out of hiding with my hands up. I said, you know what's good for you, coming out with your hands up. I've been running, can't run no more. Got blood on my hands, yeah. Who's gonna say?
Mama, I could go to sleep.
Who is going to save women? Who is going to save women from rapists? Who is going to save women from sexual violators? Who is going to save women from men, from their husbands, from their fathers, from their brothers, from strangers, from the supposed loved one who now happen to be the ones inflicting pains on them? Welcome to Family Talk. The network is disturbing. I hope we are going to be good, but the network is not stable where I am. I hope it is where you are. Good evening, everybody. This is Islamia Ayaba Kadejo, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to another educative and very informative edition of Family Talk. Today, I have a professional, a life coach, a narcissism abuse recovery coach in person of Yishitan with me today. And we are going to be talking about being married, staying married to a narcissist. Then after that, we are going to be talking about rape. How can we come on Family Talk without talking about rape, based on what has been going on in Nigeria, as if they had a summit somewhere and they are now like, okay, you know what? And the COVID-19 stuff is going down, let's bring it up. I don't understand. It's so heartbreaking. Even as at this evening, I still got a video that more than 10 men raping a young lady beside the river like that, wherever they are. In order not to waste much of your time, I'm going to be bringing my guest in person of Sister Feyi Shiton. Darling sis, good evening.
Good evening, sis. It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you. Same here. How do you do?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us today on Family. Can we meet you, please? What do
Yes,
you do, your name, and all of that?
first, I have to say a massive thank you to you for it's an absolute honor to be here to share some nuggets with people. And thank you for the amazing work you're doing. So my name is Faye
Thank
Shiton.
you so much.
And I'm a trauma-informed domestic violence and narcissistic abuse recovery coach. I support families struggling in different ways, to cultivate healthy family relationships. I support men and women, but mostly women that are going through domestic violence or that have escaped domestic violence to heal, to thrive, and live an absolutely amazing life afterwards and to be effective parents to their children.
That is absolutely amazing. Listening to you, definitely, you are one of the women around the globe we can't do without. And it is a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you.
How do we spot a narcissist?
Wow,
How
that's
do
an
you know,
interesting
okay,
question.
this man is, how do we spot them?
Right. So the thing about how do you spot a narcissist? It's about their behavior. It's got nothing to do with how they look physically. It's about the things they do. So it could be
Okay.
someone that is dismissive, someone that is disrespectful, someone that has lack of empathy. That is a key thing in identifying a narcissist. Lack of empathy in the sense that if you do something wrong to someone, as a normal human being, you should be able to recognize that, take responsibility for it, apologize for it, and ensure not to repeat that
Okay.
again because it's hurting the other person. But with a narcissist, they lack empathy. They love control and power. So they have that capacity to control people they've identified that we call targets, right? To control the person, to dictate what the person wears, who they speak to. They like to isolate their targets. They are very controlling, they are very manipulative, they are compulsive liars. They don't take responsibility for the
Wow.
things they do. And they also they play victims, and most of the time they play it effectively well as well. So those are the common
Okay. Then
traits
how
of a narcissist.
come out the soft few things to identify them. Then all these things you mentioned, I would have thought that like most people will have one or two of those features. So how possible is it for one person to bring all this together before we can now say, okay, this person is a narcissist?
Yes,
Because those are to be aggressive, to be this, no empathy, controlling, like all those ones in one person.
in one person.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
In fairness, every human being has an element of narcissistic personality traits, right? Except
Okay.
that lack of empathy. As human beings, we like to at least be in control of our lives, we like to take charge of things, but for normal people, you are not controlling other people to do things, but for a narcissist, they are very, very controlling, and they do it in a way to harm the person or to make the person, to attack the person's self-esteem, right? So that's why for there to be a narcissist, they have to have a combination of all of these, let me call them derogatory personality traits, including lack of empathy. Because if someone does not have the capacity to be compassionate or to even do something wrong, whether it's obvious or not, because narcissists are intentional, they are very conscious of their actions. And to not be able to look back and say, I'm sorry, I did that, and
Okay.
actually own it. So the lack of empathy is a major thing
Do they
with
ever
narcissists.
change?
Narcissists
Major
don't
thing.
change,
Do they ever
unfortunately.
change?
No, unfortunately, narcissists don't change their personality, but they change their targets. So they could have different people they are behaving that way to, while also living like it's like they're like two-faced people. So this person could be very kind to you, supportive of you, and at the same time being very carrying out all sorts of inhuman acts to somebody else in the same vein. So they're like one way behind closed doors, and they're the complete opposite outside the home. So that's a typical narcissist. So it's like they have multiple personalities that you can't even, it's like a mismatch of personalities in one person. Sis, can you hear me? I think your line is freezing. Looks like, yeah. Oh no. We need to bring her back. Where is she? Right. Okay, she has mentioned the issue with her network, so we hope she'll be able to join us in a while to be able to reconnect. Network overload. Thank you, everyone, for staying with us. Please do bear with Aja. I believe she's probably trying to reconnect. She mentioned the connection was a bit tricky earlier before starting the show. So please, let's bear with her some time. Okay, looks like there's a miracle there.
I'm so sorry, friends. My
Not
network is not stable. So I just hope we can do this successfully today. Now, for a woman living with a narcissist, why do women stay in a relationship like that? Why do women
remain in such relationships? Okay. Before, can you hear me? It looks like it's
stay with. I can see hear you. Hear you.
right.
I hear you now. Hello.
Right. There are so many reasons that women stay in relationships, because without doubt, let me put a bit of clarification. Narcissists may not necessarily be physically violent, right? But they also use different, it's like subtle psychological torture that other people may not see because they haven't seen the physical. Even some of the women in that type of relationship, they may not know they're even being abused, because we've talked about domestic violence, domestic abuse, that people believe it's physical. So that's one thing. If it's not physical, they may not necessarily identify that they are being abused, right? Because every narcissist is an abuser, but not all abusers are narcissists. Okay. Another reason people stay is because I say to women, and it's something I strongly believe, because as women, I believe a lot of us were raised for this role. We were prepared to go in, and be the best woman you can be to your husband and to your family and even to his own families. Unfortunately, these things are taken for granted. So there is that need to remain there, in the name of, oh, this is my marriage is not going to fail. We tell women it's their responsibility to make the home work, like they're married to themselves. So some of them have actually held on to the institution so much that regardless of what they're going through, they believe it's their responsibility to stay in the marriage. They believe it's their destiny. They believe it's a sin to not be married, even if they're being maltreated. Aja has gone off again, but we'll continue with this and hopefully she'll be able to reconnect with us. So I'll keep talking about why do women stay? Okay. I also have to say that, yes, we do recognize that some women are abused as well. We're not dismissive. No one can dismiss that reality. But of course, at the same time, we also can't deny the fact that women are at the receiving end more than men are. It doesn't make the men in abusive relationship any less relevant, but every information shared applies to both parties. But to make conversation easier, of course, we'll be talking about the women. So another reason women stay is because of financial capacity. Says it's good to see you back again. We'll survive this.
Oh no.
We'll survive
I
this.
hope so. Maybe we do this again.
We'll survive this.
I hope we survive it.
Yes.
All right.
So another reason women stay is because of financial limitation. Because as part of the controlling nature of narcissists, some of these men, they actually protect their wives from working. It's not because the woman doesn't want to work. It's not because she's lazy, but because they believe if she has financial independence, then she will be disrespectful. She won't respect her husband. She'll be spending the money recklessly. So they intentionally, exactly. So it's a controlling measure. So that's another reason they say. And the other reason is people have the misconception that they have to stay for the sake of their children. But unfortunately, when a narcissistic abuse relationship with a typical narcissist, as much as it affects the mother as a target, it directly affects the children as well. That's because narcissists don't have emotional connection. They don't have the capacity to invest emotionally into any relationship. They pretend it looks like they are doing it. They say they're doing it, but in reality, they are not committed or doing it. You know, there's a difference between what people say they're doing and what they're actually doing. And because
Doing,
narcissists, they
yeah.
have, you know, I talked about them having like two-faced kind of personalities. They have multiple personalities, right? So some of them can be very, very gentle that you will not even believe the realities of the things they do to people they call families, right? So
Mm,
that's another
mm,
reason women stay. And there is the issue of culture, religion, and tradition. And then there is the individual personal belief as well. How much attachment or how much value have they placed on that relationship over and above their lives? Because you see situations that some women will be saying, "Oh, he's my husband. I can't live without him," even if their life is in danger.
mm.
So I'm really grateful for a
Even with
platform like
them.
yours to let people understand that if you're being maltreated, your health is at risk, because you need to be alive to be married, to even be the wife to the husband, isn't it? Or to be a mother to your children. Sis, are you there? We will get through this. Yes, we will get through this. Okay, it's freezing again. Should I keep talking about more reasons? Yes? And I can't see the chat box. Live comments. Right. Private chat. Okay, sis, are you back? Right. She's been disconnected again, but I would share more tips. Hopefully she would just to make the time worth her while, because I know some of you are waiting and it will be good to share some more information with you. I would want to encourage everybody to self-educate, because information is powerful, and getting the right information, you know. I believe for a lot of us, if we're looking for something, we're looking for tools or resources or clothes or shoes. We know how to search. We know who to ask. So if you feel your relationship is in danger, if you feel you are married to someone that their behavior is questionable, because domestic violence happens in patterns. It's really a one-off incident when physical abuse is involved. It takes series of patterns of repeated intentional harmful behaviors to qualify as domestic violence. So we should look out for these things. And if that is happening, please don't feel ashamed to ask for help. Education about different personality types. Like I said, it's not only narcissists that are abusive. Yes, narcissists are violent. All narcissists are abusers, but not all abusers are narcissists. Okay, study different personality disorders if you have to, regardless of where you are. We live in an information age now. We've got information at the palm of our hands. Please let's seek valid information from the right sources, the right professionals about issues that affect our lives, right? I'm hoping that Sis will be able to do that. Good evening, everyone. Oh, Adeswa, thank you so much for joining. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Aja has been disconnected again. We hope she'll be able to join us soon enough. And you can also use the chat box to ask questions. I'll see if I can answer those questions before she gets back. Ali Adekunle, no, you haven't missed so much. You can still watch the video later because it's been disconnected, right? Watch the video later and you can still catch the full information. So please, let's self-educate. Let's be aware. Let's support people that are going through this, that are in abusive relationships, because it affects people's health, right? And you know what they say, health is wealth. If you're not emotionally stable, chances are very high that, of course, you cannot be spiritually upright, right? I know where very much religious people, you need to be emotionally stable to be spiritually upright. Yay, she's back again.
Oh,
Welcome back. I
thank
can
you.
imagine how
I
frustrating
hope
that is.
you can't imagine. It's so frustrating right now.
I can
Can you hear
imagine.
me?
Yes, I can hear you. By the moment your
Okay.
video is blocked.
Oh, my video is blocked. Just let's keep on. Let's keep on moving like that. We will deal with it. Now, can we relate narcissism with how a child is raised? Could it have been the kind of
Absolutely.
father, the kind of mother, the kind of environment where a child was raised that will make a man or probably a woman to grow up to become a narcissist,
Absolutely. It's primarily got to do with upbringing. So things like overindulgence, if you overindulge or indulge a child, every child needs love, care, affection, provision, they need parental presence. So if a child has grown up with neglect, without parental affection, without proper provision, right? And they've felt abandoned. It's quite traumatic for them. So it's like a accumulation of trauma that leads to narcissism. And how the child is raised, if you have a child that you've identified as a golden child, or you keep comparing a child to either there's other siblings or cousins, yes, it could breed narcissism. If you if you overindulge, overcompensate, if you have a child that can never do no wrong. And this is where, unfortunately, a lot of men are. There's, I think, statistics currently says that I think it's about 75% men that are narcissists than women. And that's because we can't deny the reality of patriarchal privilege, right? It exists. And we already know men have leadership positions, so they're exposed to positions of power and control, right? And for some of them that don't know what that means, yes, it becomes a tool to control other people and everything and everyone around them. So again, even if the child has been raised in a domestic abuse environment, yes, it is possible because, like I said, it's accumulation of trauma. If a child has experienced loss and the grief hasn't been properly addressed, so it's important that people should encourage therapy. They need to see counselors when things happen. And if the child has been forced to bottle things up, like I say, a lot of the men that were told men don't cry, as a man you shouldn't cry, they've been forced to bottle up their emotions. And emotions by nature are meant to be expressed, responsibly and not with violence. So it's like compressing how you feel. Somebody has hurt you, you're deeply hurt, and people tell you, imagine a man who's lost his father or mother or a loved one, and then people, if he wants to cry, chances of people telling him, oh no, please man up, be a man, you can't cry, and they bottle up the pain, the grief, the anger. So it's only natural that it will unleash as a form of misplaced aggression somewhere, because body these are natural things to the human body. These are natural emotions that should be expressed. And then also excessive exposure to anger, and if you have excessively strict parents, yes, they could be breeding narcissistic children who maybe from acts of intentional rebellion. And that's why, as parents, it's important to be fully active, responsibly active, and positively active in your children's lives, because that's how you get to learn and to see things you will identify to manage and control at that stage before it escalates into adulthood when they're out of control. And then again, the other thing is about that lack of empathy. When you have a child who has not been denied to express himself as a child, you're not supposed to cry, because men are not supposed to cry. It is a very fertile ground of breeding narcissism. And then again, you have where the male and the female roles. When you allow your male children to just sit down, the female children are the ones in the kitchen all the time or doing house chores, and you're saying, no, sit down there. Men don't do that. Unfortunately, there are situations that I've had cases that
Yes.
the husband would tell the male children, would tell even the mother, no, don't talk to my son like that, because he's a man. A man is not supposed to do housework. You're already breeding entitlement mentality into that child and a sense of superiority complex. So it's only natural that such a child, unless by God's divine intervention, in growing up, learns otherwise. So those are the values they take into adulthood.
Okay, can we talk about how they switch, the mood switch? Because even some women living with a narcissist, yet they don't even know they've been gaslighted so much that they think that everything happening is actually their own fault. So can we talk about the mood switch? This moment is stable, is loving. The next moment, maybe because she sit up from the seat to go to the kitchen and come back, why would she leave? Why would she get up like that without taking my permission? And everything is scattered, and the next day is all with gifts and love and all of that. And the woman will now be like, am I actually the one doing something wrong? Is there actually something wrong with me? And like you said, they can be gentle, they might not even be violent. Can you please emphasize on that? Because some women are just they don't even know. They are living with one and they've been gaslighted, they keep blaming themselves.
That's right. I think it's important. Self-awareness is really, really important. We have a lot of challenges we need to deal with as I am culturally and traditionally about expectations of these marital relationships, in the sense that because a lot of women have been forced to, let me use the word conditions, to believe that if their marriage fails, it is their failure. So they are made to believe that they have to take responsibility for everything the man does. How is that even a thing? That beats me. Because as an adult, you are responsible for your own actions. So women need to be aware that they are not responsible for their husband's good or bad behavior. As an adult, he has absolute responsibility for himself. So that's what happens, because what narcissists do is they attack your self-esteem, and that is how they get their targets trapped, by the subtle remarks, by being verbally abusive or saying very derogatory things. When you tell the person, you look ugly, or when I married you, you were very slim, now you're just fat and unattractive, even if the woman still looks good, but they intentionally say those things to hurt the person. Even if someone is fat, you can't body shame anybody at all. Because even as women with hormonal changes, some women, they could be slim before childbirth, and after childbirth, they become big, and some were big before childbirth. After childbirth, they become slim. Different hormonal changes, different things. How you look shouldn't even be a thing your husband should be questioning about you and using to intimidate you in such a way. Yes. So to be sure that no, you are not responsible for the man's behavior. Don't be a monitoring spirit, in the sense that when he does something, you start accepting fault, because accepting fault to a narcissist is validation of the attitude. And this is where, unfortunately, a lot of men need help, in the sense that the things they do intentionally, and the let me call it the sad platform the world has already created for them, they can't do any wrong. They own the women, as their wives are seen as their properties. So they actually expect that whatever they do, the woman has to keep apologizing to them, even when they are in the wrong. And in that reality, we're not even helping the man to be responsible for his own actions. So
and they don't have conscience.
No, they don't have conscience. And you know what? If you think about it, most family disputes, right? As a wife, if whether the man is the one reporting or the woman is the one reporting, as a wife, even if they've identified the man is in the wrong, they will still make the woman beg the husband, just because it's the husband. So you have a woman who has already been abused, and then again being blamed for the situation, and then being made to apologize for what she didn't do wrong. Exactly. And the man knows. So a lot of them know, and that's why they enjoy those meetings, because for narcissists, they love attention. Oh my gosh, they love attention. And because most of them are aware.
Bring our family, bring my family. Everybody start begging him. He'll now be feeling like a king.
they have this overinflated ego because it makes them feel good because they already know what the outcome will be in that meeting, right? So they intentionally do that because for like the society believes, unfortunately for most people, that as a man you can't do no wrong, and unfortunately some of these men believe that and act that way as well, right? So the mood swing is absolutely unpredictable because narcissists live in a constant state of trauma. They are very, very restless in their spirit, right? They are very, very restless in their spirit. It's like when things are calm, they create chaos because narcissists like chaos. So because of the need for attention, for power, and for control, even when the wife and the children, they are there, everybody is happy, and they're even saying, Daddy, a typical narcissist will snap. What are you saying? Why are you all laughing? You know, and the situation would change immediately. So there are the types of people that the moment their car gets into the driveway, the mom is busy sleeping and snoring, the children, they're running helter-skelter, you know, and their controlling nature makes people want to avoid them. So they become people you tolerate over time because you try to maintain peace. So that's the other issue because a lot of women have been told, you know, just apologize to make peace. But what they're doing to these women is creating deep psychological trauma for them. Because I don't think anybody who when you know you've done something, if you're falsely accused, that's one trauma, right? And then you are being forced to take responsibility for what you didn't do, or to accept that, yes, I did it just to make peace. You know, the woman lives broken. Exactly. So it's like this repeated multiple layers of abuse that may not necessarily include any form of physical punching or kicking, but it's all going, you know, in the background, and it can be easily missed.
In that way, sorry, please go on.
Yes, I said it can be easily missed because it's not all the time, because until people see the physical nature, you know, they don't believe that all of these things are seemingly little have very great derogatory impact on the person on the receiving end. Yeah, so there is no predictable time. Narcissists are unstable. If they are unhappy, they want to make everybody around them unhappy. If they are happy, they expect you to be happy with them regardless of how you are feeling. It's about them, me, when I want it and how I want it.
Wow. Now, having said all that, how do we now report narcissism? Since it is not like domestic violence where you can get physical, you can see evidence and all of that. Is this something that you can now go to the place to report, or is it that the woman has to continue living with it until she can no longer cope, or what exactly is the way out before we can now say that, okay, this particular woman is in trouble and she needs help and she needs to get out or whatever she wants to do?
Right. I believe the best way to answer the question is to explain the part of domestic violence and narcissistic abuse. So narcissistic abuse manifests as domestic violence. So whether it's violence or it's abuse, it is this intentional harmful behavior. So of course, awareness about narcissistic abuse is upcoming, it's evolving. So it doesn't have to be reported as narcissistic abuse. It is still domestic violence. And the reason narcissistic abuse is different from domestic violence is you can experience narcissistic abuse from narcissists that you are not necessarily related to or you live with. So you could experience narcissistic abuse from your place of worship. If you have a narcissist as a religious leader, you could experience narcissistic abuse in your workplace. If you have a narcissistic manager or team member, you could have experience narcissistic abuse even from a neighbor. You could experience narcissistic abuse in different ways in non-family related matters. So because domestic violence is about the family relationships, so that's the difference. And of course, the dynamics of the abuse will be different because with family, it's constant exposure. With a job, you can easily change jobs, or, you know, with religion, you can easily change your place of worship and things like that. Unlike family relationships, so that's what makes it different. So narcissistic abuse can be experienced as domestic violence. And by all means, you don't necessarily need to have physical evidence. You don't need to wait to be kicked or punched or thrown down the stairs or anything to gather evidence. Sometimes your word of mouth is good enough, as long as you're
It's enough.
telling your truth. Because when you're presenting your case, most of the time, the people you're even reporting to, they will be able to discern some elements of truth in it. So don't feel the need that because you don't have any physical marks on your body, because your
Can't
emotions
report
can't
yet.
be seen. Yes, so your word of mouth is good enough. And sometimes, because narcissists, I refer to narcissists, they're like in-house terrorists. They're like people that have been unfortunately assigned into your life to steal, to kill, and to destroy everything about you, to steal your joy, kill your destiny, that sort of thing. And they're like the enemy of your soul, the enemy of your progress, the enemy of your life, even if you're married to them. So that's how dangerous it could be. So with communication, because narcissists like to they like to impose, their own version of the story as the version of the truth, right?
That
Sometimes they
is
would
true.
intimidate people with text messages, with emails. If you have such text messages or emails, yes, there could be good evidences for you to provide. But again,
Okay.
like I said, if you don't have any physical if you don't have any physical sign, but please don't wait to have
Your
physical
truth is
evidence
enough.
to get help. Your word of mouth is enough to report it.
It's enough. Now, for women living in the narcissistic abuse and they are not getting out, what is your advice for them? What is the hardest piece of advice that you can give to them?
The first thing I will say to them is, I believe you. And I say that because it is the biggest challenge. It is one of the biggest challenge most people in abusive particularly with narcissistic personalities have. In the sense that, like we talked about, they have two different personalities. They are one way
That's
at
narcissism
home,
now.
another way on the outside. So they are the sort of people that will come and tell you that, oh, can you imagine what he did to me? But this is the same person that is really nice to you, is friends with your husband, takes your children now. Anytime you need him, he shows up for you, but he's not doing the same thing in his home. So imagine a wife in that situation
It's
coming to
someone
tell you to say, oh, Ayaba, please help me. This is what's going on. So it's important to believe them. Even if you can't match what they're saying to the person they're talking about. So it's important to believe them.
to the
And
personality. Believe me.
yes. So, and also to know that the abuse is not your fault. Whether it's an abuse by narcissistic personality or any other form of personality, it is not your fault. Don't take responsibility for something someone is intentionally doing to you. Because yes,
To you.
narcissists have the capacity to regulate their emotions, right? And that's why, because if they can pretend to be one way with people outside, but they only choose you to be abusive
You are
to,
not.
yeah. So make sure that you are no longer, at least from this moment, you are no longer taking responsibility for the person's behavior. It is not your fault. It is their choice. Okay. And then don't give up on yourself. Shame is a thing of
Mm.
perception. You don't live in shame, don't hide in shame, because all of those things, they
Mm.
affect your health, right? So don't live in shame. Don't feel
Yeah.
like your life is over. Life with God is the ultimate thing, because human beings were human regardless. So don't feel the need to hold on to someone that is harming you. So even if they're not hitting you physically, but they are hitting you with their words, they are hitting you with neglect, they are hitting
Psychologically,
you by,
yeah.
saying things you didn't do, which
Hurting
is the
your
same
emotion.
campaign, lying and saying all sort of things about you, right? So don't take responsibility for the things they're doing. And the next thing is to also talk to people. Narcissists have a way, abusers generally, they have ways of isolating their victims. I don't want you to talk to your family. Oh, that friend is not good. You don't know that
It's not
person,
good
and
for
especially
you.
people that know them and don't tolerate their bad behavior. They hate those people and they try to cut those people off. So try
Off.
and connect with your support network. Don't make excuses for the narcissist. And I have to say, because these people will make you feel like God doesn't answer your prayers.
Like God has
So
forgotten you totally.
exactly. So it is not your fault. God has not forgotten you. Your prayers are being answered, and I believe part of the answer to your prayer is the reason you're listening to this program, so that you'll be able to understand that all the things that you've burdened up and have become problems for you, they are actually not your problems. So don't give up on yourself. Be encouraged to seek support from people that you know will not only understand your journey, but would also be willing to help you. Right?
To help
And then
you.
bear in mind that
Yeah.
the narcissist needs you, okay? Because they're very empty on the inside. They can't stay on their own. They like to have somebody
They are
they will
not
make their life
controlling, they are
miserable.
not.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
know what? They derive a lot of pleasure in confusion, in conflict. They thrive really well when there is conflict. Imagine when somebody is upset, will make a narcissist happy, right? So just
Oh.
be encouraged to reach out to your loved ones, reach out to your support network. Don't bottle things up. It is not a family matter. I don't think you're exposing your family, because if you're not reporting it, you're not only not helping yourself, you're also not helping the narcissist to get necessary support and help, because they don't like to be exposed. They don't like people to know who they are. They like to keep that perfect facade of perfection as the perfect family man, husband. And because they also show off, they are the people that you will see, though, they can be very boastful as well. Like, oh, I bought this thing for my wife, I bought that for my children, they've gone abroad and all of that, but you're not treating them well. But those are the things
Something
people see.
just to say sorry for not saying sorry directly.
If a narcissist says sorry by chance, it will be because there are people there that they still respect, and they're still trying to keep their, let me call it, fine boy or good man look, but they will immediately
Personality.
turn it around and say and justify it that, well, I'm saying I'm sorry and I've apologized a few times. Even if they've never done that,
What else do you want?
what else do you want me to do? Get over it. It's not that deep. You're being overly sensitive.
You are being dramatic. Talking about getting help for them, is it like are you saying it's the kind of disorder and that the narcissist in person that we are talking about, that they actually need help as well? Sister Faye, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Okay, sis, are you back? I think that affected
Can
both
you
of
hear
us
me?
this time. Yes, I can hear you and I can see you
Okay.
now.
Okay. I'm saying that can we say narcissism is a form of disorder, and that the abuser we are talking about actually needs help as well?
Absolutely. Yes. Narcissistic personality disorder it's in psychologists, there is the DSM-5, which is the diagnostic manual that they use to diagnose mental health problems. So it's called the DSM-5.
Okay.
Narcissistic personality disorder. But you know what? Not many narcissists are able to get diagnosed. All right. Because they live in denial. They never admit they're wrong. There's something wrong with them. It's never about them. It's about every other person but them. So it's difficult for a narcissist to get help. So that's why you rarely
Okay.
see narcissists that have been diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, except maybe they are in the military and there is something going on. Maybe they've had series of PTSD and they've been forced to seek psychiatric help, or maybe they work with like the defense, or if they've committed a crime and then if the judge makes it compulsory, it's ordered that they go through that psychological evaluation, right? Because there is a very thin line between narcissistic personality disorder, psychopathy, and sociopathy. There are common behavioral traits overlap in between those.
In between those. Okay,
So can
quickly
you be
before we
helped?
go. Okay, you talk about support network for a victim. sometimes when you are in a mess, even though you are good, you are sound, ideally you can advise another person, but when you are the one in a mess, you cannot even think. Can you just remind anybody that will need this message? Who are the support network that a victim can actually reach out to when the ships are down?
Right. Um, I would say, okay, you said when they feel suicidal, I would say before it even gets to that, because it has to take some series of exposure. Apparently,
No, I said when the ships are down. Like,
right, okay,
yeah,
right. First of all, because I know you have your audience, they're from different parts of the world. Google could be your
yeah,
very best friend. Okay. Look at,
okay.
talk to, even if you have to talk to a medical professional, some of them are equipped to understand. You don't even necessarily need to use the word narcissism. Express yourself. Let them know what you are going through. You don't need to say,
Going
oh,
through
my husband, I'm going through narcissistic abuse, right? Express yourself. Say what is happening to you.
what
Reach
you
out
are
to a
going through.
exactly. Reach out to a counselor. Talk to a therapist. Any form of therapist. Look out for a coach. If go to domestic violence agencies, check your national domestic violence helpline. Use your network or support system of people that you know will not only protect you, but that they will also believe you. So make sure that the information is going out there and you are not isolating yourself. Use Google to find the nearest counselor, even online counselor that understands how you're feeling. Express yourself to them, what's going on in your relationship. So it's about being encouraged to reach out and to reach out for necessary support.
Find support. Okay, let's talk about rape before we go, because we just have to talk about that as well. And what I want
Yes.
to really talk about is this very shocking attitude. I don't know about you, but I found it so shocking that like it's like I can hardly hold myself reading so many comments about rape cases, Tina, Uwa, Baraka, and a host of them, for people saying it's about why did she go to the church at that time? Why did she dress like that? Is it about dressing? Is it about what where a victim has been, or is it about the rapist? What is your view on this?
It's unfortunate that people get it mixed up. Even if a
Hmm,
woman is naked, it is not an invitation to her body. It is
hmm.
not about what she's wearing. We've had cases about women even wearing their full regalia with their hijab being raped.
Of
We've
course.
had, so it's not about what the person is wearing. It is about that rapist and the intention or the sense of entitlement to somebody else's body.
Hmm.
So even if you've had intimacy with the person in the past, if at the moment that you're about to get down and do your business, they say no, no is a full
No,
sentence. It is
no.
a complete sentence. No means no. I've seen some comments that are very, very upsetting. I don't know. Do you know, a lot of things just need to change and people need to self educate. We cannot claim ignorance this day and age.
Hmm.
That people would say, oh, don't mind all these women. When they say yes, they mean no. No. No
No.
means no, right?
Oh.
So it's that sense of entitlement from the rapist who has made up their mind with all of this, wrong beliefs in their head that they feel entitled to or to have access to somebody else's body, or to feel that, oh, because I like her, I don't know how to approach her, so I can attack her. So it's about the
Hmm.
person, it is not about the woman. And of course, we know that some men do get raped too. Unfortunately, they get raped by
Yeah.
other men and they get raped by other
Yeah.
women. And even in
Either
marriage,
way.
rape exists in marriage.
Yeah.
So it's really about the rapist, it is not about the woman.
What of the government? What is their role in all of this, especially the Nigerian government now, to be precise?
Laws and more laws and more laws. My concern, particularly for Nigerians, is that I think most of the people that are in the position to make the laws and make it effective, I think we have a lot of sentimental people that downplay the impact of this crime on the victim, not just the victim, on even the community. Imagine the videos we've watched, people that we don't know, but it's quite upsetting, isn't it? It's for them to
Accepting,
even
yeah.
understand that, but because most of them as well, their belief system is what's the big deal? So they wouldn't even be able to make laws that will work against them. So awareness
Mm.
and education is important. Who are we appointing as our lawmakers? Not only do they need to be objective, they also need to be educated. They need to be aware. They need to have that in-depth knowledge of what the real, they need to have that deep knowledge and understanding of what this entails and the impact on the people. Because if they're making decisions from their own sentimental angle, there will be no change, right? The laws are written, but when it comes to the practicality of it, with the sentiments going on, most of the times they don't get the justice desired. And with communal support of people downplaying it, it's like, oh, what's the big deal? People do this all the time. It's or they blame the devil, isn't it? When people
Yeah.
intentionally do things, suddenly it's the devil. Why didn't
It's
the devil
always
use you to do something inventive?
something good. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I want us to come back to our communal roles. As a community, how do we make government do what they're supposed to do in terms of justice for rape victims?
There's been a lot of awareness, because people can demand for these things to be put in place. There could be, like, it's a good first. I'm happy that, as much as, yes, we have a lot of people that don't understand it, but there are also a lot more people that actually do understand it, right? So
Yeah.
the laws are there to protect and to be sure that the law is enforced, right? We also need to get away from the religious and the traditional sentiment of begging people to withdraw cases from the court. No, because
Hmm.
what we are doing in that sense is we are empowering these perpetrators to go ahead and, you know,
Do it.
and commit this crime, because it is a crime. You are basically stealing away somebody's human right, right? It
Hmm.
has to be reported. And it's also good for the perpetrators so that at least they can be assigned to appropriate support system to help them as well. Because it's possible that the rapist can be helped, right? Because there are a lot of background issues that lead to someone believing that they can rape somebody else. So that can be
Somebody
addressed.
else.
There are chances for them to change if they are willing to. So not only going through the justice system and letting these people sit on and understand the magnitude of what they've done to somebody else, they will get help, and the family too can, it will help their healing as well. And even the victim, it will be part of their healing journey, knowing that they get justice. So as a community, please, as a religious leader, you should not be comfortable to even show up to say, let's go and beg the family. Please
Let's go
stop
and
it.
beg. Wow.
Please do
They
not,
just
you
need to
can't beg crime off, right? Our God is a God of justice, isn't it? You can't beg crime
yeah.
off. We have to stop shaming people as well. You can't blame someone, because I read from that the lady that incident happened in the church. People were blaming her. Why was she in the church? Why was she reading in the church? It doesn't matter. People shouldn't, as much as we should be aware of risk, but it doesn't matter where she's been. Where she's been is not a, a, um, a
Not an
justification for
excuse
the
for her
rape
to
she
be raped.
experienced. Yeah, people get
Yeah.
raped in their own homes. People get raped in shops, in shopping malls, in parking places, in their workplaces.
In
So
schools,
these
in
things happen anywhere. So it's
workplaces.
not a
Yeah.
question of location, what the person is wearing, why they are where they are at, or it is about the rapist. So we need to be aware to not shame victims, because when we're shaming victims, we're telling people their stories don't count. And unfortunately, again, we're also not helping the perpetrators to get the necessary help they need to do better, so that they
We will
don't go
continue to
around
do.
feeling entitled and then, committing this crime repeatedly.
repeatedly. Now,
Sis, your
this
volume
might
is
be
a
a
bit
good.
low. I don't know if that's from my end or your end.
Okay. How about now?
No, it hasn't changed.
Is it
But let's
better
go
now?
on.
Is it better now?
Slightly better, yes.
Okay. Okay. For you personally, what will you recommend as justice for rape?
What
For
would
a
I
rape
recommend?
victim? For a rape victim, to you, what is justice for her?
Jail term, certainly for the perpetrator. Jail term
Okay.
shouldn't necessarily be lock the person behind bars, throw the keys away. Jail term in the sense that they could be in jail and still get psychiatric support because it's a psychological disorder, right? So they could get psychiatric support while they are in prison. It also shows that the person is no longer a danger to other people in that environment because, of course, if they are behind bars being monitored, they are being made to take
Safe.
responsibility for what they've done. So yes, jail term will be what I will be deciding. Jail term with psychological support.
Okay. You would go with those who said the thing should be cut off.
People say things out of anger,
Yeah, I
and
know.
they
I
say
know.
things they don't mean. And don't forget social media. Some people just type things to stir up.
What happens to women who rape anyway? So what do they cut off? Women who rape they don't have anything for the government to cut off anyways. I think jail
Exactly.
time is just ideal for everyone. Will you have a final word for any woman watching this? Be maybe married to a narcissist or in abusive relationship, any form of abuse, or a rape victim that's not told her story or that's told her story but was not believed, that is now watching this or that will watch later. What kind of soothing word can you say to her, at this time?
I would like to say to that woman, I believe you. Don't live in shame. Don't live in isolation. It's unfortunate what has happened to you. It does not define the course of your life. Work on your healing, work on yourself. In fact, even also forgive yourself for your experience. It's not about the abuser or the perpetrator, it is about you. Forgive yourself for the things you have endured over time. Forgive yourself for the amount of time you've been exposed to this abuse. Forgive yourself for your own good and your own healing. It's not about the other person. And again, I can't even emphasize it enough that I believe you. God loves you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Your experience is not the end of your life. It is not a factor in your life. The shame is not even yours to bear. So don't feel the need to hide or live in isolation or because you don't want people to know what has happened to you. I recognize that not everybody will be bold enough to declare or share their stories publicly, right? But tell your story, even if it takes you standing in front of a mirror and saying to yourself, face it on this happened to me. No, you are not crazy. There is nothing wrong with you. Don't try to
Mm.
forget it because trying to forget your reality is punishment to self. Okay? It is a reality that does not have to control the rest of your life or your emotions. And then again, seek necessary support that will help your healing. If you have to speak to a doctor, to a therapist, a psychotherapist, seek necessary help and support to do something for you so that these abusers will not continue to steal from you.
Thank you so much, Sister Faye Shiton. It's been so wonderful having you on the podcast tonight, despite all the drama, the disturbance by the network. We thank God we made it. I think I have Sister Shola Onifade here. She said that I just want you to respond to that. She said if a woman is able to stand her ground, I want to post the comment. If a woman is able to stand her ground, if if she can recede and stand her ground, they back off. How true is this?
She said, how true is that? Is that what she says?
I'm asking you. This is her own opinion. She said that a woman that is living with a narcissist, if she can stand her ground, that the normally a narcissist can actually back off. Is that
Oh,
is that
yes.
is
You know
that
what?
true?
Because these people, typical narcissists, they are emotionally weak. And that's why there is a
Oh,
lot of, they're emotionally weak. It's the weakness that they cover up in all their grandiosity and the aggression. And because some of them have not been shown, we have a lot of men that grew up with never being hugged by their fathers or mothers. They were never told, I love you. They've never experienced parental affection, right? So, as a
mm,
woman with that sort of person, depending on the stage you are at, so that you are not exposing yourself to any form of the violence escalating, yes, you shouldn't even lose your voice or an identity because you are in a relationship. From day one, it should be identified that violence is not an option. And violence does not only mean physical, it means you cannot even verbally abuse me. As a man, come on. How can you tell your wife you are stupid? You must be very silly. How do you know things like that? They are not acceptable. And as a woman, if you happen to be in a relationship with that sort of man, yes, you should be telling them, I will not be treated that way. But of course, analyzing, because imagine someone that's been going through this for like 10, 15 years, and all of a sudden you're
mm.
telling the man, oh, you can't talk to me like that. That could quickly escalate into, something even
It,
more violent.
it,
So you need to assess your situation, your capacity, so that you are not exposing yourself to any level of risk. It is not
uh,
rude, it is not disrespect to demand to be respected, which shouldn't even be an issue, isn't it? You don't have to tell
yeah,
your husband, oh, you're not going to talk to me that way. Because when women say that, the next thing you hear is, oh, what's in Connie? That sort of thing. Oh, she maybe she
yeah.
has money now, or she thinks like, no, please, guys, it is not a sign of disrespect for your wife to tell you not to disrespect her. Respect your wives. Yes, so yes, she can't stand her ground, but of course, being aware of the level of risk she could be exposed to.
Okay, maybe final word before I let you go. For the narcissist himself, what word will you have for him? Whoever that knows himself to be one and is watching now.
Narcissist, narcissist, narcissist. Wow.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
We know you. Oh, yes, we
Mm,
know who you are. We know how you
mm-hmm.
try to cover up, the perfect picture, happy family, the noise you make about your family, the things you claim you're doing for them, but you're not actually doing to them, or that even when you do it to them, you use it to intimidate them. That even there is no reason to be grateful for what you've done. Oh, yes, we know you. We know how you operate. We know you have a problem, even when you say you don't have a problem. Bros, you've got problems. The problem is yours. But what you need to understand that the person you are abusing is not the source of your problem. Because before you
Mm,
met that person, you were broken. You've only
yeah.
identified that person because you believe that you can do anything with the person, especially when they come with the title wife, right?
Mm,
No, you do not have any right, legal right, traditional right, cultural right to transfer your aggression to somebody else. So I would
mm.
encourage you to get support when you know you are struggling, even if you're not a narcissist, when you know you are struggling, you believe things have to go your way all the time, you need help. You need help. You need to see a psychiatrist that can help you. There is no shame in saying, people, I've been doing this to my wife and I'm willing to stop it. And
To
then
stop.
mean it, be committed to the change. Because unless you change, believe me, there are more than enough people that will get that woman away from you, and there is nothing you can do about it. You
Mm,
don't
mm.
also need to live, and I know narcissists are actually afraid, and that's part of the things they cover up. You don't need to be afraid. We understand that a lot of things have happened to you in life up to this stage. Be encouraged to get help for yourself so that you don't even ruin your own life. Because yes, it is your life. As much as you are inflicting pain on somebody else, you are also ruining your own life. Imagine, it takes a lot of effort to be mean, isn't it? There is a lot of
Yeah.
emotional, neurological connections in being mean. And imagine having that genuine smile and just being peaceful. It's lighter on you, because narcissists too, that's why you just hear some guys, while they are beating their wives, they collapse and die. High blood pressure.
Yeah.
You don't need to be in control of everything. You have married a woman who you chased, you identified as a smart, intelligent woman. She has every right to have a voice in that relationship. Don't dismiss her. Don't insult her. Don't insult her even with your family members. You can't expose her in that way and sit back and enjoy your mother's, father's, sisters, uncles insulting your wives. No, you have to respect that woman. And the world will not come to an end when you say you are sorry and you mean it. You don't have to be right all the time, because you are not a perfect human being. And I think the other thing I would say is you are not a god, because narcissists like to believe that they have to terrorize other people so they don't disrespect them, right? Your aggression actually earns you disrespect. It doesn't earn you respect. So, brother, calm down. You know, and get help.
Cool
Cool temper. Yeah. Calm down. I really wish a lot of the women that are in these relationships would realize how weak these people are, but not to focus on that title, oh, because it's my husband, I'm failing. No. Narcissists are weak people. They are emotionally weak people, but they only cover all of that up. So please, they are not that deep. Stop taking them seriously. Yes, they might have the capacity to harm you, but yeah, they might have the capacity to harm you, but just be aware to get yourself together. Sis, I would like to share something about rape. Can you still hear me? I don't know what happened to the volume.
You said you want to share something about rape. Go ahead, please.
Yes. And that's got to do with, you know, we can talk about the surface because we're dealing with a lot of information now. The stories are coming out, right? But I think it's also good to look into the root of the matter, okay? And it's got to do with sex, you know, because particularly from where we come from, it's like because of religion or tradition, people see sex as a forbidden topic or something to talk about. Or if a child feels a form of attraction to the opposite sex, you have parents, since I don't know about you, but I believe our parents' generation, a lot of them, they told us, if a boy holds your hand, you will be pregnant. But by just holding your hand, hey, you will be pregnant, you know. So those are false.
When we started, when the girls start menstruation, then now that you start your menstruation, you can't talk to a boy, he can't hold you, he can't touch you, you can't keep deciding in class. Like, oh my God.
Absolutely. So all those information, they are wrong. So parents should educate their children about sex. You know, we talked about information, right? Because now they have access to this information. If we are not teaching them at home, they will learn it the wrong way from outside. So when you dismiss a child's feeling, imagine, like, let's even say a 10-year-old boy likes like another 10-year-old girl in his class. And he comes home to say, oh, mommy, I like Jane. You know, most African mothers will be like, that's a shameful thing. Yeah, it's Arab. Don't do that. Don't say that. God forbid. And they believe the child is suddenly demonic. Don't instill fear in that child. You need to acknowledge the way the child feels and educate them, because it is normal that we feel attraction to other people. Now, acting on it is a different thing. But if we don't talk to them about it and they are not aware of what sex is, the danger it could be, and even knowing about consent as well. This is where you find all these children, because they can't discuss sex with their parents. They can't discuss who they're attracted to with their parents. Their pastors, some of them have had cases that even they get disgraced in church for dating somebody else. You know, So when people are forced to live in shame or they believe they're already doing something wrong, so it's only almost natural for them to want to hide, and they seek
Correct.
what's it called, and wrong information, and then feel entitled that they can live out their desire. So sex education is really, really important from
Mm.
parents and also from the schools. Sex is not a shameful thing, right? It's part of, it's what God, why, that's why God created the human body parts, the male body parts and the female body parts. We just need
Yeah.
to not instill fear in our children and not think that it is a shameful thing or it is a sinful thing, but we need to teach and educate them about the right thing about sex. Name their body parts, call it what it is. Education, education, education. Yeah. And hopefully
Yeah.
people won't feel the need that they are entitled to grab anybody and sleep with the person.
Yeah, but without their consent. Thank you so much, Sister Faye Shiton. It's been an absolute honor having you on the show, and we've learned a lot despite the network issue. Eventually, we made it. We learned a lot from you today. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much again for all you do. We really appreciate you. Keep up the good work. Let me
Thank you.
see. I don't think there are everyone is just saying well done, my sister, very true. Silence is a killer. Well said, you know, good evening and all of that. So everyone is really appreciates you and thank you so much for coming today. Geoffrey Bitrus, Ajoke Ade, ìyìn ọlákàn, sista yinka dairo, sista lima yusuf ọmọlára ọ̀kan láwọn, shakirat ní ọlá, ṣọlá onífàdé adésùà, uda aliyu adékúnlé, and a host of them. Everyone is saying thank you very much to you. On behalf of Ayaba Kadejo and myself, I'm saying thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
today. You are highly appreciated. I hope when next I call you, you will oblige.
I would gladly show up by God's grace. Thank you so much, sis. I really appreciate you. I appreciate and enjoy every opportunity to share this information with people because information, right information is powerful. We can't afford to live in ignorance and we've got to be our
Yeah,
brother's keeper. Because when we know what we're dealing with, then it puts us in a better position to manage it, isn't it?
yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
very much. I really appreciate you. Well
Thank
done
you
for
so
all
much
you
for
do.
coming.
Thank you.
Have a lovely night. Yeah, good night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sis.
Thank you,
Bye.
sis. You too. Thank you. Bye, sis. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for staying tuned, for bearing with us the network issue. Thank you so much. Next week, Saturday, at the same time, like you understand how we do our program now. Next week, this week is family talk. Next week, Saturday, by the special grace of God, we are going to be having Ladun Loyin, and the upper week again, we are going to have a family talk. So that is how we do it. That's how we roll, like they say, every Saturday at 10 p.m. Sister Bolanle Adewumi, Sister Omotoke, Miriam Shodero, Mommy Idaya Oloko, and everyone that I've mentioned before, and those whose names I cannot mention. Thank you so much for always supporting, for always coming through. I really appreciate you. By God's grace, we are going to see again every Saturday at 10 p.m. West African time on Ladu Loyi. Good night, everyone, and have a pleasant night rest. Bye.